Addiction is like this animal, this beast that grazes on like souls. You know what I mean? Or it's a beast that desires comfort, or people that love comfort. Actually, addiction is the biggest narcissist. A part of me, like I repeat, a part of me wants to expand. My spirit wants to expand, and my body, my ego, my flesh, my wounds want to stay the same. And addiction is the greatest thing ever for that, because it'll do you one better. It'll make you so comfortable that it'll like regress you. You know what I mean? It will make you so comfortable that it's all that you choose. It's all that you know is comfort. Another video I talked about self-sabotage. And for me, the only thing that is between me and what I want is addiction. The addiction has a stronghold on the part of me that wants to say the same, the part of me that's scared. And once addiction has a hold, it takes over the whole membrane. It like it's a freaking monster. I've attempted to be sober for like 5 years. Yeah, the only way I can self-sabotage is by not reparenting that part of me that feels undeserving, and like kind of letting that part of me, like kind of ignoring it. And then that part of me grabs onto, you know, the addiction. It grabs onto it. It's just like holds it tight. And it's like, even at this point, am I even holding the cup, or is addiction holding the cup? And I'm the cup, you know? Like, is addiction holding me, or am I holding addiction? And the beautiful part about that is that this whole video is about melancholy. I woke up feeling melancholy. I went to bed feeling melancholy. You know why? Because that's what addiction does. It starts off, you're sober for a long period of time, and then it's like, hey, you miss me, like in a way, it's like, or something happens to you, and you wanna, your first thought is like, let me go back to this thing. It kind of like, it never goes away. Your whole life, it will never go away. It's always there, lurking, waiting. Addiction is almost like an invitation to the devil. It's and once anyone's become addicted to anything, it's hard to let it go, because you've allowed that into your home, your brain, and you can't kick it out. Like, the door's been open and it's been shut. You can't kick it out. You just have to like give it a room, like you gotta put it in the attic or something like that. I believe I can, and everyone can overcome it. There's definitely people that have, but even though those people have overcome it, is there a day that goes by that you don't think about it, or is there not even a day? Like, that's crazy. Like, or is there prolonged years where you just don't think about it anymore? And so, yeah, I was just feeling melancholy, because that is what it does. Like, what the addiction does is makes you spend a lot of time with it. It's it starts off where you don't do it for a while, and then you do it. Relief. You feel relief. It comforts you. It's like a warm blanket. Then you do some, and the blanket isn't so warm anymore. It's a little less cozy. So then you do more. And you're like, okay. Then you keep doing that until you're fully depleted. You're at zero. But the trickery of this is that at zero, the only thing you're still able to do is the addiction. It has fully taken you, and then convinced your soul that it will reprieve you of the sadness that you feel, and reprieve you of the emptiness that you feel. But it's the exact same thing that caused the emptiness. But it's convinced you that it's the thing that's going to reprieve you of that. And for a lot of people, it's not even just your mind. It's not even. It's also the way you're subconsciously acting. It's the way that your whole nervous system has acclimated to this thing. Because a lot of times, addiction can start off as reprieve, and then it stops really giving relief and gives you anxiety. And then that anxiety blows over to the next day while you're in your sober state, or while you're away from the thing, away from the addiction, away from like even like food. If you're away from food, now your mind's like, and you're away from food. Like this, I feel like this happened to me recently. You're away from food, let's say food's your addiction. You're away from food. Well, then you go eat a lot. Then you go eat some. You eat a lot until you're bloated. Then you know, go back out, go back on your own. You're away from food, and then you're like by yourself, and you're just bored, and you're just like anxiety induced, and your body's first thought is like to send hunger pains to you, but you can still also feel that you're bloated. So now you're eating while but you're clearly full, but it's like your nervous system is reacting to you feeling anxiety by raising your insulin levels. All of this to say is that my melancholy that I feel this morning is the run over, is anxiety from is sober anxiety from not being not sober, right? But even knowing this is like how do you fend this off? How do you fend off this beast? How have I ever fended off this beast? Each time I fend it off, it doesn't make me it doesn't get easier. I maybe a little bit, but not that much. It doesn't after I've fended it off for very long periods of time, but it comes back where it's always there. It's just waiting till a moment where I'm anxious enough, or waiting for a moment where I come to a situation where I don't know what to do, or I'm feeling fear. There's a couple things that are just keeping me going, keeping me with hope. Because once you're down at the well, also you have to have good like connections in your life and a good support system, which I do have. But the other thing is, you can never let yourself fall to the bottom of the well, where you're hopeless, completely hopeless. You always have to be hopeful. Like, dude, I haven't been completely hopeless since, well, how old am I? I'm 24, 21. It's been like 3 years. Is that a lot? I feel like that's a lot. Dude, that just gave me so much anxiety. That just gave me just thinking about that. That was a really rough time. But this is the road to that. Me engaging with the addiction is the road to that help, that bottom of the well. Terrible feeling. Anyways, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go. I gotta go tend to myself. What addiction does is it gets me. Like, addiction is a beast that loves comfort, and my biggest comfort is like putting myself like in the bottom of the well. I've conditioned myself to love the bottom of the well, to yearn for the bottom of the well, because all I ever want is to be completely alone, right? Like, there, not in totality, but there is a part of me that wants to be completely alone, absolved of responsibility. A part of me that just wants to like be pitied. There's a part of me that wants to be pitied, and addiction gets me to that point every time. It's it's exactly what last part was, which essentially was like I'm saying this really sad shit, and even if I'm like, oh, I don't, it's not for I don't care what people think. Like, you know, when people sympathize with you or empathize with you, it feels really good. But it's like, where's the border between that and pity? Last video is exactly the purpose. It is the result. It is what I yearn for. It is putting myself in a space where I'm back in mentally a bad state, where then I can like cry about it, and I can like be upset about it, but it's all to my own doing. It's all to addiction. And I didn't post that first part because it didn't feel complete. Because right after I recorded it, I then thought of all of this, and now I'm thinking about it more. I thought about the other side of it, which is that in real truth, like 90% of me is like healed and aligned and ready to move on to this new expansive life. And there's the 10% of me, this child, this teenager, this I don't know, wounded part of me that is not aligned. And like, when its thoughts come up, I'm like, oh, okay. Like it still impacts me. I'm not taking the 90% and reparenting the child. I'm not reparenting the wounded part. I'm not healing it at all. I kind of ignored it. I was like, I'm just gonna ignore it. And here we are. Then it took, it found addiction to comfort it, and here I am. right? Is it awareness to be like, oh, I'm doing this bad thing and I can see it happening and I need to change it? Is that awareness enough? Or awareness being like, there's a wounded part of me and I need to heal it? Is that awareness? Or is true awareness, like, because that's awareness, but it's still hard to change. Like, being aware of something almost makes it harder to change because that's not true awareness. Because that's not true awareness. Awareness is above that, even that thought. True awareness has no thoughts, no words, but it can control the whole unit. The observer just watches. The observer doesn't have thoughts. The observer watches. The observer conducts the opera. It doesn't need to say anything because it conducts. It delegates. Dude. So just being, because my whole life has been like, I'm aware of the problem, but it takes me a while to fix it. But it's like instantly being aware of it and then tapping into the even higher awareness, which is being truly present in the moment, moment to moment. Forget the past, forget the present, forget the future. In this moment, what are you going to do? And that can always change. It can always change. And it is always changing moment to moment, whether you like it or not. And whether I like it or not, decisions are being made every single second. And all of those moments, though they're going to be related, can be completely alternated. Free will is like what you think of, like what's the craziest thing you want to do. And then you think of that, and then you sit about it for like 2 seconds, and then right after that, you think about all the reasons why you can't do that. Well, the voice that explains in your head is not the observer. Because addiction obviously has, addiction manifests in the body. It has what, the body react, the physical reacts. It's not just a mental thing or a spiritual thing. However, remember what happened in I know it's a movie, but the first Doctor Strange, Warlock, I don't know. She's saying how the soul can reconfigure the body. Altering the soul can reconfigure the body, in a healthy way. You can transform.
It's good tea. Yes. Did you heal a man named Pangborn, a paralyzed man?
In a way.
How did you correct a complete C7, C8 spinal cord injury?
Well, I didn't correct it. I convinced him that he could.
You're not suggesting it was psychosomatic.
And the cells are only programmed to put themselves back together in very specific ways.
Right.
What if I told you that your own body could be convinced to put itself back together in all sorts of ways?
Is that why you're working here without a governing medical board? I mean, just how experimental is your treatment?
Quite.
So you figured out a way to reprogram nerve cells to self-heal?
I know how to reorient the spirit to better heal the body.
The spirit to heal the body.
That's right.
Same thing as in Full Metal Alchemist. Same thing in Jujutsu Kaisen, that Mahito can configure the soul. Which means that the craziest thing about Jujutsu Kaisen is that Mahito could be like the greatest person of all time. He could heal any disease. He can do anything. My point being is that if I can reconfigure the soul, the awareness, then the rest will follow suit. And that's why I want to put it. Maybe I'll put it in the video. There's a picture of the iceberg of change, and at the very bottom is core belief change. And I think there's something beyond that, the soul. But anyways, the dichotomy of it all, the dichotomy of this whole fucking thing. Wow, 2 parts, 2 different conclusions. In the end, we ride. Yesterday, I was convicted. So, Julianne and I had been invited to the same church by 2 different people. One from her school and one from our work. And so we went yesterday. And I woke up yesterday morning with, I was edging towards the bottom of the well. I was inching towards, depression is an all too familiar feeling. I forget that it's there, right? But in the same way that addiction is always lurking. Addiction is this thing that is always lurking, always waiting to pounce, always waiting to get back in and waiting to take over the mind. I think depression is always waiting too. And the interesting thing is they're both, addiction loves depression and vice versa. And melancholy loves, melancholy is my biggest visitor. Melancholy loves to come visit me at nighttime, loves to come visit me when I'm in isolation. And I think that's what addiction does to me. It really puts me in isolation. And so, besides the point, we go to church, right? I'm feeling melancholy. I wake up feeling so depressed. I can't, I'm like mute. Like Julianne's trying to talk to me and she's like, do you want to talk? I was like, no, I really can't. That's how it starts to get. And I start like, I have bodily, I don't really know how to explain it, but it is a very familiar feeling that I will always remember that feeling. And I started feeling it yesterday morning. So we drive into church, we get there, it's going well. The music's like, they start off with music and stuff like that, like upbeat. It's a very young church, like in terms of like the demographics and the age. And so then the guitarist, after they're done playing music and everyone's done and we're getting ready for things and to really start the service, the guitarist gets on the mic and he says, "Hey, thank you for coming. God bless. Hallelujah." Like the only thing I really have to say is I want to say one quote from. I want to say one quote from Jeremiah. And I'm like standing there. I'm on the third row. And he says, okay, let me read you out Jeremiah 29:13. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart. In that moment, I just broke down in tears. I just started crying so much. Like, I feel like that was direct. I almost, dude, for those of you that spiritual people or church, like, there are things that sometimes are said. And you're just like, that is directly towards me. And not even an egotistical way. It just like hurt, it just pierces your soul. And it's like, out of all the times I come, I decided to go to church. It's right here, right now. And because I was invited a month ago, I was invited a long time ago, and then Julianne was invited last week. So, and then now it's the right time, right? So I'm crying, and I just can't stop crying. And then they do this thing called where they have prayer leaders stand in the front of the church. I never have seen this before because I came from a Catholic church, and you walk up to the prayer leader and you confess. And not confess, but you ask for prayer. And Julianne was just like, you should go up, you should go up. And I was like, Julianne, I literally can't. I'm like barely keeping it together right now. But I decided to go up. And I get there and I tell him, I say, sir, like, Jeremiah, that just spoke to me. Seek God with all of your heart. And I feel like I haven't. I've been lukewarm. I've been half-assed. I've been at most 90% in. But that last 10% is there's so much fear. I mean, there's a ton of fear. And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, man, I think I was really starting to build my relationship with God, and it was going well. And then I chose addiction again, or, I fell back into addiction. And I was like, do I need to give it up, or will God take it away from me? Because I've always given it up, but it's not with God. I want him to just rip it from me. But it's like, is it up to him to do that, or is it up to me to and I'm telling him these things, and he just says, because and we're like, there's music playing while this is happening. It's very loud. It's not quiet. And I think that gives you more private time to talk. So like, we're locked in like this, and we're like really close, and he's like kind of whispering over my shoulder. And he's like, because you walked up today, God knows you have an open heart. Because you came today, because you walked up, God can see that. And he's like, from this moment forward, things will get well. Things will continue to get well. And he just kept saying, you will be better. You will be better. You will be better. And I tried to pull away, and he grabbed me tighter, and he just kept saying, you will be better. You're going to get better, and you're going to get better, and you're going to get better. And he just kept saying it and saying it and saying it. And finally the music stopped, and we did one last prayer, and he said, I said, amen, and I left. I was the last person. And then the sermon starts. Dude, I'm like getting goosebumps from just like this thing. I don't know. The sermon starts, and he talks about that the sermon was about insecurity, and that our insecurities take away the blessings that God gives to us. God will give us a vision, or we'll think, oh wait, I can't wait to do this or try this. Oh, that's gonna be so sick. Or God gives us something, and instantly, right after he gives it to us, our insecurity is like, no, we don't deserve that. Oh, that's too much work. Da, da, da. And the minute we are blessed, the minute it is taken away. And he was like, insecurity comes in all forms. It comes in people pleasing. It comes in imposter syndrome. It comes in isolation. And then he says, God loves weakness. He loves weakness, because then he can be glorified through your weakness. And he says, no matter what, you are always going to be led back to your weakness so you can glorify God. And then he's talking about Moses. And I knew exactly what he was going to talk about because I had just read Moses the last week, and it's talking about how, well, when God tells Moses to free the people, Moses does like 3 rebuttals where he's like, dude, I can't do this. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I have no clue how to do this. God's like, don't worry about that. No, you got it. And he's like, I can't do this. And he's like, no. God's like, yeah, you got it. And then Moses like, I don't care what you say. I can't do it. And he almost blasphemized God. And God was like, dude, you can do anything. But it really struck me that weakness, God wants you in your weakness. Because when do people come to God the most? When they are weak. And so I go home, right? And Julianne leaves. And I'm still feeling depressed. I engaged in my addiction. Instantly. Threw up. For me, my addiction always, there's a loop that my addiction follows. It's like I do it, it's exciting, then I do it, and it actually makes me feel worse, then it makes me feel very anxious, and then like over time, I become more and more nauseous, which then I stop eating food because everything makes me nauseous, and then the only thing I'm doing is the addiction, and then I don't really work out. Like it always comes to this point where I end up throwing up. And when I was younger, when I would get to that point, I didn't give a fuck. I would just keep doing the addiction because I didn't care. I was like, I don't care. I need it, right? In more recent times, I've been getting better. Like that is like the end point. That is the disruption of the or the completion of the pattern. And I can move on. But it was different last night or yesterday. I threw up. I felt so convicted. I got up immediately. All the shit related to my addiction, everything, the remnants of it, whatever it was. I put it all in bag. Threw it in the dumpster. Then I go back inside and I start cleaning up the toilet because I had thrown up, and then I vomited like a lot. And I got down on my knees. And I don't know. I prayed. I got down on my knees and I apologized. I said sorry a million freaking. I just kept saying I'm sorry. I just kept repenting. And after that, Julianne came over, and and I told her what happened. And I looked at her, and after I told her, I said, "It's finally over." Like that's what came to me. I said, "It's finally over. I'm back." I was like, "Gosh," I was like, "Julianne, I missed you." And she's like, "How do you know? Like you've thrown up before and you keep doing it. So what makes this time different? Like what?" And I said nothing. All I said is, "It's over. Like it's over. Like that was a lot. I've been gone for a month and a half. Like I've been here gone, spiritually gone for a month and a half, and I came back, and I felt so light. I felt so light. I feel light, and I just felt convicted, on 7/20/2025, baby. But it was interesting because I didn't even want to engage in the addiction when I got back from church because I was already feeling nauseous. Like I was like I don't even want to do this, but something I just did it anyway because that's addiction, and God took it away from me, right? Like, and then just now on a walk, I came to God with an open heart. I think for the first time ever, I was truthful with Him. I said, God, I was like, I want to build a relationship with you, but not more than I want to engage with my addiction. There is nothing more that I want than that. And I know that's really sad to say, but I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to come to you and seek you with an open heart, with all my heart, and tell you the most honest truth, which is that I don't know how badly do I wish to seek you, and do I wish to seek you more than I wish to be an addict? I don't know. And then I just read Jeremiah 29:11. So, and then on my walk, I told God, I said, God, I think that I don't want to seek you as much as I tell myself I do. Is because in truth, deep down, I have a fear. And my fear is that what you want from me looks nothing like what I want for myself. My whole life, I've desired certain things. My whole life, I've desired, wealth and freedom, and I've desired some sort of vanity. I've desired a life for me that is abnormal. I've desired an abnormal life, and I was like, but I fear that what you have in store for me is a normal life, is a life where I never become rich, and a life that I never get what I want, just so you can humble me. And that is my biggest fear. And I was telling that, and then Jeremiah 29:11 is, for I know I have plans for you, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. But then I read that and I'm like, oh, bro, maybe our desires are aligned. And so I don't know. I don't really know where to go from here. I'm just gonna keep showing up for myself. But like, yeah, these 3 days, 3 different days, 3 different conclusions. Like, it's been crazy. Anyways, I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your Monday and start of the week. It's raining out here, but guys, girls, gays, queers, they, them, these are anyone. Have a blessed day. I'll see you tomorrow.